Εις το όνομα του Πατρός και του Υιού και του Αγίου Πνεύματος. Αμήν. Please be seated. Καλημέρα σας. Good morning. The Lord said, "Do not be anxious for tomorrow. For tomorrow will be anxious enough for itself. Do not be worried and troubled what you will eat, or what you will drink, or what you will wear. Consider the birds. Consider the flowers. Consider everything else that exists without worry, without anxiety, without care." You see, we have the special gift of worry, of anxiety, of predicting a future that we are afraid is going to happen. This big, beautiful brain that we all have has allowed humans to become the most powerful species on the planet. And part of that reason, it's a double-edged sword. Our ability to predict, to plan, to think of alternate outcomes, that is what gave us that edge over all creation, to use that mind. And so the mind is essentially a problem-solving machine. Your brain wants problems. It wants to solve problems. It wants to find problems. You see, we are in constant battle with that little voice inside your head saying, "Stop, worry, fear, be afraid. Bad things are coming," right? Don't you ever catch yourself in a happy moment and that thought comes in, but remember this, remember that, remember your worry, remember your care. And so we go our entire lives maybe finding glimpses, little windows where we are carefree, where our mind and our heart is completely at rest. I'm sure if you think right now, you can probably count them on one or two hands, those moments in your life that were ησυχία, silence. And I bet you they were when you were staring at the ocean, when you were looking at a sunset, when you were taking in the beauty of God's creation. You see, Jesus gave us the key when he told us, "Don't worry." When he said just a few lines before, he said, "The eye is the lamp of the body." Meaning, the eye is what takes everything in. And if your eye is aplos, in Greek, aplos, simple, clear, clean, if your eye is not complicated, is not cluttered with stuff and worry, then that eye, as it's looking out, can see unclouded. But if your eye is poniros, if your eye is weighed down, if your mind is heavy with scheming and planning and worrying and thinking, then all you can see is yourself. All you see is your own ponos, your own pain, your own frustration, your own loss. And so the great mystery that we all have to come to grips with is the I sees yourself first, then out here. It's a two-way street. And so if your I, if your mind, your consciousness, your soul is consumed with worry and pain and trouble and sadness and sorrow, you can't see God. You can't be at rest or at peace. Jesus said the only way that you can see a flower more beautiful than Solomon in his robes and his jewels and in his throne, the only way you can see that beauty in a simple flower is with that simple eye, that mind that is clear, the mind that is not cluttered by all of that nonsense, all of that stuff. And so it's the simplest thing, and yet the hardest thing on this planet. And so ask yourselves, why do you hold on to that worry? What does that extra anxiety do for you? Because I guarantee part of the reason is we're afraid to let it go. We're afraid that if we're not anxious, if we're not troubled, if we're not in some kind of drama, in some kind of fight or argument, that we won't be alive. You see, the mind feeds on those levels. When we're at worry, when we're in trouble, our body creates all kinds of hormones. And the body gets used to that level of trouble, of worry. And so those moments where we power down, where we take rest, where we can appreciate and see those simple, beautiful things that the world has to offer, that's when we see with what Jesus said is the aplos ophthalmos, the simple eye, the eye that is unclouded by all of the unnecessary things in life. And so yesterday does not exist. Tomorrow does not exist. The worries of tomorrow will take care of themselves, Jesus said. And what happened yesterday was yesterday. Now is now. That moment. Because every moment is in that now, is in the present. And so by letting go of the past and not being afraid of the future, then the present moment can hold the most beautiful things, the most simple sunsets, the air, the trees, the mountains, the lakes, the rivers, animals. Does your dog worry? Does your cat sit in anxiety of what it's going to eat? No. And so let us be present, my brothers and sisters. Let us forget and drop, just for a moment, all of those worries, because I guarantee you they'll be right there for you to pick up. And let us take that courage to be here, because God is only now.